There you go. Got lost in 2 minutes.
That's what I say.
Okay.
I'm on the computer, whereas it's like, you can call somebody and they'll probably tell you guys to do it all day.
I'm going to call to order our meeting of the Port of Siuslaw. First, we'll have approval of the minutes. Everybody had a chance to read them, I'm sure.
Before we approve the minutes, I'd like to make a couple of comments with
Sure.
regard to the minutes. On the September 5th, 2013 meeting, I guess my general comment is that I'd like to see the minutes be more reflective of what was actually transpired in the meeting. And I'm not ready to go to recording and transcription at this point in time, but I do feel that the minutes need to be more reflective of what was said. For example, in section number 1, ways to increase commercial fishing boating, it was stated that it could be more cost effective to have an empty slip than have boats at a reduced rate, and I don't see that mentioned anywhere. And then again, in section 3, where it talks about rescheduling maintenance staff work to the weekends, in the discussion of maintenance, Commissioner Duman asked what happens if there's an emergency, and it was stated that they simply call 911, which seems strange to me that you would call 911 for a maintenance emergency, such as a toilet overflowing or something. But that, nonetheless, it's not mentioned in there that staff is trained to call 911 for maintenance emergencies. So I guess my point is that I would like the minutes to be more reflective of what transpires during the meeting.
Well, I do remember Duman asking what would happen in the event of emergency, and I did say staff would call 911, and that's basically the way the tape read, so.
But there's nothing about that in the minutes.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I believe state law requires minimally that we have minutes. And the minutes reflect the resolution and the vote thereafter. That is the minimum requirements of minutes. As far as trying to come up with a translation that is going to be acceptable to the 5 commissioners, I think that's going to be virtually impossible unless we have a transcription.
Which is certainly an option.
Right.
Which is
However,
certainly an
that
option.
does increase the amount of staff time necessary. And I did have a conversation with Dina, perhaps, 18 months, 2 years ago, as to the nature of minutes. And it's rather difficult for staff to sometimes interpret what some of the commissioners are trying to suggest. And I advised Dina that you try the best you can, try to keep it as simple as possible, not necessarily skate over the issues, but it gets to be complicated as to how do you interpret what one commissioner wants versus what another commissioner is saying. So it's a delicate balance, and I agree with you that the minute should be reflective of what we discuss, but how detailed should they go based upon the limited time that staff has?
I've been spending literally hours, and I was trying to make them as detailed as I could, and I was finding that I wasn't getting my other work done. So Bill and I did have a conversation just a couple months ago, and he said just what he told you, about the state law requirements, and he said scale them down.
I understand state law requirements and understand minimums, and I don't think that that we're looking to simply meet minimums. I think we're looking to be reflective of what transpired during the meeting, and I'm simply bringing out a couple concerns of mine that there were some things that I think were important details that were left out.
Okay.
Matt? Mr. Chairman, may I speak? Yes. My recall is we spent 20 minutes discussing whether an open slip or a full slip was beneficial or not beneficial.
I made one statement about dumping rock over a bulkhead, and that makes into the meeting, and I was chastised for saying that in the minutes. That's how I feel.
You were, I chastised you?
Well, I wouldn't.
What did I?
That might
how
not
did
be
I
proper.
say that?
Well, this
That kind of work is highly regulated and not acceptable. You know.
Well, this is what Mr. Forsythe said.
Yeah.
This is where it gets to be a sticky wicket. I've been on many boards and we've had these conversations, and the interpretation by staff of what the commissioners said or did not say becomes really almost political. I prefer to keep it as minimalistic as possible because we have a complete recording on DVD of every word that we utter here. So if we want to go back and take a look at the actual minutes, this is how you do it. And I prefer to actually make these less complicated and rely upon the DVD, which is published on our website within, what, 3 or 4 days after each meeting?
I put it on the next day.
So, to me, I think minimalistic is the way to go, because then we get away from some of these interpretation issues.
Dina will do the best she can. If you have changes you want to make to the minutes, this is the time to do it. If you have, but I'm sure she will do the best that she possibly can. So let's move on. How about it? Do anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting on September 5th, 2013, and in the same motion, approve the regular minutes of the meeting on September 18th, 2013.
I hear a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Okay, financials, ratified.
Remarks. I think we have some remarks here before we get to financials.
Oh, okay.
David Swinney.
Well, Jay, thank you very much for touching on the minutes here, because that's my first point, is minutes. Last week I asked a simple question that deserved a simple answer. Instead, I was told that it wasn't up for discussion. And then in the minutes, completely misquoted me, completely. I did not ask a question about anybody's resignation. That resignation didn't even become public for another week. You cannot change my words to fit your cover-up. Now I'd like to go on to how this board has completely lost their power. The governing documents were completely revised and gone through by Bob and staff,
Mr. Forsythe, please. He's the manager.
whatever. And you're just his wingman, just doing your best to qualify to
Sir,
become.
this is not a personal issue.
Well, then
Please try to keep it professional.
stop taking up my time.
You're doing it yourself.
Stop taking up my time, Mr. King. Huh?
Thank you.
All the governing documents have been changed, and all the power has gone to Mr. Forsythe. None of you can discuss anything outside of this room unless Mr. Forsythe is with you. You can't talk to the attorney, you can't talk to the accountant, you can't talk to anybody unless you go through him. You have no power here at all, folks. This is not even a port anymore. When they changed the governing documents and the mission statement was changed to the Port of Siuslaw delivers high-quality assessment, management, and economic development services that result in measurable economic and community development, benefits for communities throughout the Port District. It's no longer a port. It's an economic development. I didn't think I'd ever see real estate completely take over, but they have. And they want to develop all these properties that you were elected to protect. Now, and let's see, what else did I want to touch on? Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask you commissioners if you really understand what Hercules is. Very complicated computer system that far out exceeds the needs for this little court. Far outweighs its needs. I would suggest you go online and look up Hercules and see what it's for. And that's one of the biggest reasons that all these documents had to be changed, the governing documents, because Hercules system is set up basically for a Fortune 500 company or a big conglomerate. And they all have CEOs. They only have one boss. One man has total access to all facets of that computer.
Mr. Chair, his 5 minutes are up and I don't see any.
If you don't take this off my time, please.
Okay. Thank you, David. We'll take your
Well, I'm not through yet.
suggestions. You're not through? Your
No.
5 minutes is up.
If I may make on beyond the documents, one quick point.
Certainly.
Just one quick point. There was a gentleman that stood up here and said that he has been coming here for 17 years and spends 3 months here every year, and thought that he should be a preferred customer. I sat down and kind of roughly penciled it out a little bit, and during those 17 years, he's paid around $21,000 worth of time over here. Okay? My boat down here in berth A3, I've been there 7 years, okay? 12 months out of the year for 7 years. And I paid in excess of $25,000. Now, who should be the preferred customer here? I don't get cable
We
TV,
try
I
to
don't get
treat all our
toilet.
customers equally, and we do appreciate your business.
I appreciate the time to speak.
Thank you.
And I will be back. Thank you.
Who's next?
Gary Thorson.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up this, this commercial, storage out here.
Have a seat if you wish.
Well, that's all right, it's gonna be real brief.
Okay.
I just wanna bring this up because when I came here, I was under the understanding that there was commercial storage available and it was part of the bylaws that would be an ongoing thing, this being a port and so on and so forth. And, I got a call from Dina, which, you know, I appreciate her reminding me. But she explained to me that there's no longer gonna be any storage over here available for commercial fishermen. So I just wanted to bring that up and say, you know, what's up with that? I mean, it seems to me we had 4 new commissioners elected that all ran on the ballot of, you know, the not ballot, but the same, you know, rhetoric of we're gonna, you know, bring commercial fishing boats back in here and make it hospitable. But now our commercial storage is going away, and I'm on a time limit of what work I do on my boat because I've got, you know, a mast down here, and there's this new development coming in here for the bulkhead and everything, and which is, hey, great if that's what we need, but I don't see how that's part of this commercial fishing industry or commercial aspect of, you know, the mission of a port.
I happen to agree with you. I think that commercial space for our commercial fishermen should be available. So I'll look into that.
All right, and I want you to know that I tried to email the commissioners. I want to go on record as saying this. I tried to email the commissioners about this issue rather than come down here because right about now I'm wrapping up my salmon season, and you know, I really don't have a lot of time, but there is no email address to reach any of you now.
Oh.
That's been taken off the website.
There was never,
Oh, yes, there was. There was.
what was it?
There was.
What was it?
It was a link to each and every commissioner, so I could write, if I wanted to write Mr. Fleener, I could write him at Port of Siuslaw. It was right on the bottom of his,
Oh, okay. Well, see what I can do to add
What's
that
what's
back
up with
on.
that? I mean,
Well, I don't know. I
we're
never
being
got-
denied access to our own commissioners.
No, Gary, I'm not
I mean,
arguing
Bill,
with
I'd
you.
I'd like to start a conversation
Oh,
with you about.
Sure.
I think I have some suggestions
Sure.
for you, and I think that
Well,
you might just be the man just to follow up on it.
I think that this might be an oversight with our webmaster. I don't think any of us would deny access to our email addresses, at least
Well, I
wouldn't.
certainly hope not.
So,
Certainly
if
not.
that's
Because
if that's an
If that's the
issue,
case, I would be very
I didn't
upset.
realize,
Yeah,
I'm not a webmaster, so I don't,
our apologies if that's the case, but
I'll get
if,
that going
Well,
again.
and we were all asked to present a little short bio, our picture, all of these things were to be sent in for the website, so.
And you were
okay.
the only one that I.
Well, my concerns are registered. Thank
Well,
you.
okay.
Thank you for your time.
definitely
Gary.
want access. Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
I will work on that.
yeah, thank you, Tina.
Okay, that's it.
That's it? 2? What a disappointment.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
since storage was brought up, could this be an agenda item for next month's meeting so we can talk about this?
Talk about what?
The storage, the commercial fisher, because I'm not really sure
Yes.
what's going on as far as the
I'm not
bigger
either.
picture, so
I'm not either, so we'll,
put this on the agenda.
yes. Okay, now I guess we can ratify some bills. Everybody had a chance to look them over. I know our computer was down. I went through them quickly, didn't see anything out of whack myself.
I'd like to make a motion to ratify the bills paid of $77,208.12 with comment. Mr. Chair?
Want your comments before or after?
Well, I want to make sure that we have a second before I take up any time.
Do I hear a second?
Well, I'll second, but there are 3 other people in here.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, as long as we move forward and it's been a second, and that means that the body now has the issue. I spoke to Dina earlier about our net income, and obviously we are still having some issues with our reservation system and QuickBooks and grants and a lot of other issues. And our net income, although it shows $113,026.58, that's not really the net income.
No.
And I asked Dina her best guess or best estimate, and I think she said it was about
Now,
$42,000.
what month are you looking at?
September 30th.
Okay, where did you get the 131,000?
I'm
Are you on the balance sheet or
I'm
the
sorry,
profit and loss?
$113,026.
Are you on the balance
The
sheet?
balance sheet.
Okay,
Net
I'm
income.
looking at the profit and loss,
Profit
Okay.
loss.
which shows total income of 121,000
Okay,
and total expense of 100,000 with a net income of 20,000.
Yes.
okay. So, that's good. So I just wanted to make sure that, our
It didn't look overstated or something.
right, and that we are moving forward with making the port in the black so that we can hopefully start putting some money toward capital reserve and capital maintenance projects. So it's very important to me to use that number as a barometer as to which direction we're going and the decisions we're making. And I feel like we're going in the right direction as long as we see a positive
Right.
bottom line. So with that, I'm ready to vote, Mr. Chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
So be
you,
it.
Adina.
Okay, next is our resolution 10-16-13A, by local guidelines.
Well, Mr. Caputo, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, you and I worked on this,
Yes,
and we are bringing this forward as a recommendation. And I feel that what we're doing here is we're encouraging the port to use every reasonable effort to buy local when all aspects of a given purchase are essentially equal. We were looking at plus minus 5%, plus minus 10%, but that becomes an issue when you're dealing with multi-million-dollar contracts, and 5% of $1 million is a lot of money. So there'd have to be a sliding scale, and it got rather complicated, so we decided just to state that whenever all aspects of a given purchase are essentially equal, then we can weight it toward the local purchase. And I think that's a good compromise for the commissioners and for the staff and hopefully for our vendors, that we can throw that in as an additional criteria.
Do you want to read this to them? Or do you have your copy?
Yes, I would be more
Would
than
you
happy.
please read that to the audience so they know what we're talking about?
Port of Siuslaw Resolution Number 10-1613A by local guidelines. Whereas the Port of Siuslaw's primary mission is to enhance local economic development under ORS 777, and whereas the Port of Siuslaw Commissioners realize the port manager is the authorized purchasing agent for the port, and whereas the Commissioners of the Port of Siuslaw desire to support locally owned businesses as one tool to enhance local economic development, it is hereby resolved that the Port of Siuslaw Commissioners request the port manager to consider purchasing from locally owned businesses whenever all aspects of a given purchase are essentially equal. Adopted by the Port of Siuslaw Board of Commissioners on this 16th day of October 2013. That is yet to be decided. So that is the resolution, rather simple, but I think it really nails it.
Are you adding the,
I have one more
Second
line
one.
that I added afterwards.
Okay,
A definition of a local business is a locally owned business is a business whose headquarters or majority owner reside within the Port of Siuslaw district.
so it would also be, it is hereby resolved that a locally owned business is a business.
Sure.
Is that how we would incorporate that in
We'll
there?
incorporate
So
it in
it
there.
is further resolved. Okay. I
Can
like
I get
that.
a motion to approve with with the addition of the definition?
I so move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next, other items by the commission. Bill,
I'm gonna lay low today.
you're gonna lay low? That's amazing. Okay, I guess we'll go under new business.
I have one
Oh, okay.
item, and that is in light of recent discussions by this commission in the past, and after reading several of the, in light of reading some of the comments by our guests, I would like to offer the following policy statement. And that would read that effective beginning January 1st, 2014, anytime the campground RV park has an occupancy of 25% or greater, and or there are weather-related conditions that put at risk the port property or its tenants, that there will be at least one fully trained port maintenance personnel on staff on a 7-day-a-week daily basis.
Can you read that one more time for me? So
Certainly.
I can get it?
Effective January 1st, 2014. Anytime the campground RV park has an occupancy of 25% or greater, and or there are weather-related conditions that put at risk the port property or its tenants, there will be at least one fully trained maintenance staff person on duty on a 7-day-a-week daily basis.
Discussion?
It's the or that's in there. If it's greater than 25% occupancy or a weather-related,
And or, excuse me, should read and or.
25% occupancy and or. So what you're suggesting is that any time we have 25% or greater occupancy, we will have 7-day-a-week service coverage.
Right.
Fully trained maintenance staff person on duty.
How does a,
Go ahead, Mr. Duman.
thank you. How does a, say, Septoberfest, how does that fit into it? Are you trying to fit something like that into it?
No, this is strictly based on occupancy of the campground, or if we have weather conditions that put logs floating down the river or whatever,
Understand
that we have a person, a fully trained maintenance staff person on duty 7 days a week.
Similar to the buy local resolution, Mr. Chair, I would like to request that a subcommittee be organized, perhaps you and Mr. Cable, to discuss this and see what the ramifications are with respect to our costs, and also kind of detail this out a little bit more in that 25% occupancy over what period of time, a day, a week, a month. I think there needs to be some more fleshing out here. And I would love to see this come back to the board
Sure.
with a little more detail and some input by management, and I'd love to discuss this more.
Sure.
Is that
Okay.
something, Mr. Chair, you would be willing to do?
I can do that. I think we should do that, and
Sure.
my concern is that at this time of the year, our busiest days are Saturday and Sunday, and it would be nice to have a fully trained staff person on duty, maintenance person on duty during the weekends.
And I would like to see how that would impact our current financial position on a short-term, long-term basis, and make sure that we're going in the right direction. It sounds like a great idea.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that we fully understand what we're
Sure.
obligating ourselves to.
So we'll have a committee of us three,
We can't have three. It's
It's just you and I.
just you and I, all right,
Sugar.
we can do that.
Is there, Mr. Chair, is there a question of the board trying to usurp the position of the manager when we're doing this kind of thing, or is there,
No, this is strictly a policy statement. The board, or the manager's position is how he implements it. And that's, this is a policy statement where it's not taking any authority away from the manager.
no, that financial is a concern?
So the policy has to include the financial repercussions and what are the benefit risks associated with such a policy. And hopefully the subcommittee will get together with the manager and explore all of the different scenarios associated with such a policy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll bring that back and then we'll debate it. And then we'll either make a policy or not, or we'll make modifications to that.
Okay. So moved.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Jay?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Terry? Nancy?
No.
Okay, now we'll move on to new business. Insurance agent of record presentation.
We have our three agents in the audience tonight, representing their insurance companies, Coast Insurance, Able Insurance, and Wilson Airgood and Associates. And I have three little pieces of paper here to, go ahead, Bill.
Mr. Chair, before we go any further,
Yes.
before we have the presentations, I would like to talk a little bit about the criteria that we're going to be using to select the candidates tonight prior to the presentation. If that's something that the commissioners would like to engage in, or would you rather hear the presentations and
I'd
then
rather hear the presentation.
criteria?
Yeah,
I think that would be, I'd rather hear the presentation first.
and then we'll make a decision.
Okay,
Pick one.
but you biased.
Absolutely. Oh, it's a trick. Oh, there it is. Coast Insurance.
Wait, John.
Oh, hello, man.
Well, good evening. I'm John Murphy, owner of Coast Insurance Services located here in Florence. All of the agencies applying to be your agent of record have great reputations and should recommend keeping Special Districts as your insurance package carrier. They all have reputable carriers for bonds, health insurance, and other coverages you may require. So why Coast Insurance? Gene and I will be the primary agents handling your account, not a commissioned producer. You will have my cell phone to contact me 24/7 of any emergencies or questions. I will personally inspect the premises at least twice a month on my rounds to see my customers. I do that for a lot of people. I will be involved in your safety meetings to help reduce risk. I will meet regularly with the port staff to review activities or issues that may arise. We will ensure that the port is utilizing the risk management tools and experts that are available to you through special districts and your workers' compensation carrier. We will review the monthly commission meetings agenda to see if it would be an appropriate meeting for us to attend. We will also attend any meetings that you request. Any meetings we're not at, we will review the minutes that we are not in attendance on and see if there's any recommendations we can make from there. I've handled most of the local public entities in the Florence-Mapleton area for over 10 years. Gene has worked on those same public entities for almost 20 years. Living in the Port District all my life has given me good insight of the risk related to the Port of Siuslaw. So with that said, Coast Insurance is ready and qualified to be your agent of record. We look forward to partnering with the Port of Siuslaw to protect the district interests. Questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
If we do have questions, we should probably ask the same question to each of the agents. Is that agreed?
Sure.
My question, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Go ahead, Bill.
what would you say separates you from the other two, given that what you're going to be paid by SDAO is going to be the same as what the other two agencies are going to be paid? There is no competition here. It's, what is it, 14% or 12.5% of the premium. So what differentiates you from the other? And I'll be asking the other two companies to do the same thing.
I would think the big thing is availability and time, that Coast Insurance has to be here, answer questions, how quick we can be on call. We can hand deliver the certificates of insurance instead of emailing or faxing those. And we have a big interest in the Port of Siuslaw. We live here, are gonna live here forever, have been here all of my life. We just think we're more available. And we've always had a good working relationship with the Port of Siuslaw.
Any other questions? Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
You do it so well.
Abel. I guess we better make sure that the other one's actually here. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Wendy Abel with Abel Insurance, and I am an owner of the agency. We do have the building here located here in Florence, pay property taxes to that, employ our employees here that live and work. So very much appreciate your motion that you made tonight as far as buying local, 'cause that's something that's very important to us as well as supporting the economy. Wanted to ask, you've had the proposals in front of you. Before I talk about and answering the questions that you may have, is there a question particular from the proposal on anybody's mind in regards to anything there?
Other than the one that I just asked
Yes,
Mr. Murphy.
most definitely, which
Yeah.
we'll address in the proposal there.
Okay.
So one of the things from our standpoint too, that as far as making us unique, is doing the contract reviews. I noticed that something that you have too, for example, is the contract review that you had coming up with Mo's. We like to definitely take a look at that and make sure that you're in compliance with your insurance regulations going into the port. Whatever we can do to help with your management, and if you have your contracts from the standpoint of transferring risk from the agency to the other party, or making sure that you're protected as well. That's something that we're very strong in as far as our standpoint of the degrees in the insurance education from the risk management. Member of PRIMA, the Public Risk Management Association. So as previously been said, special districts is a very strong player in the market for the special districts.
Can you elaborate upon the contract review
Yeah, I
for our
can.
viewers and for
It's
people
not
like
from
me?
not into a legal aspect, but what we want to do is make sure that your insurance what you're transferring, you have the options there as a port of whether you're going to retain those exposures, you're going to transfer those exposures, you're going to avoid those exposures. That's what we kind of focus on from a risk management aspect. From the insurance aspect, we're with special districts. They're a great player in there. So since we don't have to do as much shopping, we're able to help the port analyze their exposures from that standpoint of.
Would this be something like Legacy, where they would come in and work with us to make sure that we're fully covered when we have a contractor in? Is that the contract review?
If you do have a contractor that you have them come in, one of the things we would do from that aspect would be making sure they were in compliance, that they had the right insurance, they had the right endorsements. Somebody that's maybe not doing the insurance, that paper sometimes can look like Greek to you. So if you've got somebody that deals with it on a regular basis to make sure we've got all the additional insured endorsements, the right forms, so that the port is transferring the exposure the best that they can. So that is definitely a strong area with us. On the end of the proposal, you'll see something that we also had in regards to the Visitor program. That's something that we've invested in as our title. We got the risk management and the consulting services. So that's an additional service that's made available to the port at no charge. The agency has done that for our clients, where it doesn't replace anybody that you have, but it can be additional resources, especially for you from a legal standpoint. That's where a lot of the claims, and special districts will tell you that too, and they're going into dollars being sent from employment claims, from harassment claims, from discrimination claims. So you can get additional cost on the phone, unlimited consulting at no additional charge to the district. So that was in that handout. I did bring a couple additional that they were there. Whether you wanted to do them, they were in there as far as the Visitor that talks about all of the different services that are available from the firms with a variety of questions. As you're moving forward too, our agency is certified locally with the Cover Oregon, with the healthcare reform. So if you're working with anybody, we work with special districts, that's group coverage is coming up later, but as we look at the employee benefits, and if you've got people that are not on that, but they want to have some questions, agents have all been certified to assist with that. Being an agency owner myself, I'm also not a commission salesperson, so it's like there's no essential additional financial benefit to me. I'm here to best interest the port from that standpoint and do education and training. On-site training here locally, available to serve you in any way possible to better the port.
Yes.
I think you have a question.
Yes, what makes your agency different than the other two? What, if all else is equal, what would you like us to take away from this presentation?
The experience in the education specializing in risk management. That's where our dollars are really spent, is educating and training the people to try to transfer the risk as much as possible from the port to other entities, make sure the port is well protected. So that's kind of the investment that we've done in the Visitor, making that available, the education from being a certified risk manager. That's actually a designation special schooling that I've gone to, being a diversified advanced education, and the associations we belong to help strengthen the port's future growth.
I have a printout here that indicates that you are a agent of record for the Port of Gold Beach and the Port of Port Orford. Is that
That is
correct?
correct.
And how long have you had that agency?
How long have we had them? For over 20 years. And the Port of Gold Beach, as you're aware of, that they do have a campground too. So very much similarities from that standpoint, working on that one. Port Orford has got the dredging issues that you have, and we've been working with them specifically on that. We had some unique things to make sure their volunteers were covered well when they did the prop dredging. And so as far as the experience that we had with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Yes.
May I ask Mr. Murphy a question?
Since you didn't ask them the same questions.
Mr. Murphy, do you have any ports that you are currently insuring? Because my list here says Aceto Water District, Mapleton Fire, Mapleton Water, Siuslaw Public Library, and Siuslaw Soil Watershed Conservation District. Any ports in your portfolio?
No ports. Cities and school districts are also in there.
Okay.
We, Coast Insurance was the
Portfolio
agent.
of
Coast Insurance was the
No
agent of
comment.
record for the Port of Siuslaw prior to Wilson Airgood. Able and Coast Insurance would take 3-year terms.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have the next, your last,
Wilson Airgun.
WHA.
Well, I got the same email you, but I didn't print out. Oh, I did. It's on that somewhere yeah, on my email.
We need additional chairs? or-
No, we're good.
We're good.
We'll stand if that's all right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Intimidating.
Is that, we don't want it to be that.
well, they've been here all day. I mean,
Thank you for taking time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to address right up front why I think we're different. Most agents are generalists. They work with restaurants, loggers, fishermen, a little bit of everybody. In 1979, we made the decision to become specialists. We have 8 units in my company. I am the CEO, and I run the public entity division. That's all we do. We have about 325 public entities, some ports, schools, cities, a little bit of everybody. Special districts will tell you that there are about 900, a little over 900 special districts in the state. They'll also tell you that we insure over a third of those. And keep in mind that many of those that we don't insure are what's called contract districts. They're a paper district. They contract back to a city or to another agency for services. There are really 3 reasons why we think you want to buy us and bought us last time around, and we appreciate that. Number 1 is claims. Anybody can take a claims form, submit it. Tough claims are why you buy us. A little over 20 years ago, working with public service, emergency services with cities, fire, police, we developed a system with them that we use called Instant Command System. We actually interface with you. If you lose an employee, and I hope you never do, if you have a major event, we will go on headset, we will be here on site. Tammy lives here 16 years, her office is here in Florence. Go on headset, be with you throughout it, and we have a history of that, and I can give you a number of references where they have lost public employees, and we have been there walking through. I'll give you one quick claim. Up in the Dalles a couple years ago, a storm went up, caused a short on a French-made cable that took power off the dams, one of our clients. We went up, worked with them all night. We established what they needed to get back in business. The claims people were there the next morning at 8 o'clock. We had an approval by 9 o'clock of what to buy. We got them in service, power back off that dam in 7 days. The insurance company said it was unbelievable. They never had a claim like that, less than 30 days. That's why we think you want to buy us. But most important is STA will tell you our loss ratio is half of theirs. We run consistently about 27, 28%. Insurance is based on cost, loss cost. Our clients don't have those losses. I think you'll see since we've taken over, your property and casualty loss ratios dropped to about 17%. Your experience mod has dropped on your workers' compensation that Tana will talk about in just a little bit. The second reason we hope you buy us is clout. We do a lot of public entities. We have a great reputation. We have a great loss ratio, and we think it's unequaled. When we speak, as there was a big water district up in the Portland area last year that couldn't get insurance, we were the ones that won that bid and got them insurance when other major national brokerage firms as far away as Seattle and Chicago could not provide coverage. Lastly is knowledge. A lot of people go to conferences. You'll see actually we teach. The last two of the last 3 Prima conferences we lecture. We lecture at the governor's GOSH conference this summer with special districts. We do about 20 to 25 lectures for public entities around the state every year. Just got back from lecturing in Chicago to a large group. Charleston, South Carolina, was in Missoula last weekend. It's our fiber. It's what we believe in as public service. You volunteer. You'll see we volunteer a great deal. We believe in the public service, and we want to be here to support and help you not have claims. With that, I want to introduce Tammy, who will tell you a little bit about one of our success stories.
I head the workers' comp department for the Port of Siuslaw. I've had over 30 years experience. I was a branch manager for one of the major carriers, and my territory has always been Ling and Coos and Curry counties. The 2 areas that I focus on are finances and claims. My technical expertise is I was an underwriter, and I am also a premium auditor, and that is basically why I look at 2 areas, is your class codes and your payroll, and I evaluate that on a 3-year basis with your non-disabling claims. And the reason why this is important, and I'm not going to get too technical, is that every policy has a premium factor. When we first started in 2010 with the port, you were at a 1.14. That means that you were paying 14% over the average, which is a 1.00. Today, you're at a 0.88, so you have a 12% credit. That means that you're getting money back. That's a good thing. The other aspect of this...
That's about a 26% swing. That's where we make a difference.
And the other aspect of that experience mod is your claim factors. And so what WHA has done is we have hired a return to work consultant who is also a claims adjuster. Actually was my employee that we brought when she retired from Safe Corporation. And basically she is a return to work consultant, and she works with the providers, and she also works with the injured workers. And she is your advocate. One of the state programs is accessing money through the Employer Injury Work Fund. In 1 year, she was able to access for our clients over $250,000, and that's making modified jobs for people to come back to work. So WHA invests in people when they know that those are the issues that are important to our clients, and we become your advocates. So this is the other Tammy.
I'm the other Tammy. I'm Tammy Fitch. And besides having my certified insurance counselor and my certified risk manager, I have the opportunity to work with your staff on a daily basis on claim. Well, not daily on claims, but on other issues, whether it's the Affordable Care Act, whether it's discussions about what staff need to hear, questions they have. We mentioned your great loss ratio. For the last 5 years, you're below 17%. That qualifies you for a longevity credit. So you're going to be getting some more money back in January this year. One of the things that Jeff didn't allude to is because of the number of special districts we have over the years, we've been fortunate enough to work with SDAO as they try to perfect their coverage, whether it's replacement cost for vehicles, whether it's full faithful performance on your bonds. It can go on and on about the coverages that we've helped them add in manuscript to make sure that you as a special district have the best coverage available for all of your members. With that, you asked a question. We have Port of Cascade Locks, which has been 15 plus years. I think it's 19 now, but 15 plus. And Port of Astoria, we've been working with them for over 4 years.
So you have 2 ports.
2 ports, right? Yeah. Well, and you.
Yeah.
3. Out of the 325, yeah. There's other cities and stuff that have port areas in them, but yeah, those.
You answered the question already about why you.
Thank
so,
you.
Okay.
I think we're
I'm
good
going
to
to
go.
digress just a second if I can,
Sure.
if I'm not interrupting you. Talk about contracts. We're protected in the Oregon Tort Law 30.260 to 30.300. It limits how long you can be sued and how much you can be sued for, except for 2 areas. Federal lawsuits, 8 federally protected classes, and some criminal actions, which would be hard for you to be involved. Contract law, 6-year tail. The critical issue is not just to read the contract and push the liability one way or another, but it's to make sure we comply with the Oregon law so that in fact we don't accidentally waive our tort and assume 6 years of liability that we don't want to assume. So reading those contracts is extremely important.
Do you have a department or a specialist that does this specifically all day long?
Not all day, but we do it. Yes, we have a department, we have an individual that works with contracts on a regular basis. In fact, confidentially, we're working right now with special districts. We made a proposal with them because the Oregon Tort Law changed 7/1 this year, and you were made aware of that by our staff. We're actually working with Washington cities and SDAO to come up with a standardized contract to help you dealing with third parties. Is this a high-risk contract or a low-risk contract? A little checklist that'll walk you through so that you don't make errors on those. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate having had the opportunity to serve you. We hope the numbers you saw and heard are the difference. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, we have to go to work now. With 3 very good proposals, 3 great companies. When are you gonna start, Bill?
Where do I start?
Yes.
This is like trying to split three babies.
Yeah.
They're all excellent companies. They all have great services. We're not talking about any competitive advantage as far as their fee. It's 14%. When the agency does all of the account maintenance, it's 12.5%. If they defer that to SDAO, it's pretty cut and dry. It appears that the three different entities meet the legal minimums for the RFP. We also just passed a resolution to encourage buying local.
Right.
We're talking about a contract that is around $50,000 per year, plus minus. So we're talking of $7,500 worth of money that the local agency will secure as a result of our appointing them, if it is a local agency. However, we need to take a look at the benefits of the existing agency and their track record versus going with a new agency. We have two local agencies. One has port history, the other does not. That does not necessarily mean they're not qualified, but it does add another factor in. This is really, I've been thinking about this all day, trying to figure out how I'm going to split this. And I'd like to hear from other commissioners.
Yeah, it's a hard decision.
You lost me when you said one has port and one doesn't.
Coast Insurance has no port history.
They
and
were
Eagle
the
Insurance,
We've been the agent for
They
the
were
port.
the agent.
but not currently.
Well, they were.
You were the agent, so you
Yes.
had the Port of Siuslaw. Okay.
Yeah, so they have, okay, I just lost me.
I just, on their list right now, it does not say port.
Right, but they were previously on port.
So we have one agency that has had Port of Siuslaw. We have an agency that has two ports, and then we
had
have,
the Port of Siuslaw before too.
Right.
We switched back and forth, so we
Okay.
didn't do that.
so Able has had three then.
Each 3 years, they were
Yeah, okay.
trading.
Yeah.
Do we have a policy of every 3 years switching?
Yes, apparently.
Well, this is something.
Not necessarily
that's new.
switching.
Yeah, this
Not
is
necessarily
Switching,
switching, but
right.
bringing it
Reviewing.
back up for bid.
Every 3 years?
Every 3 years.
Yes.
And it's not on a rotating basis?
It's not on a rotating
No,
basis.
No. it used
Just
to
like
be.
our banking, our legals, we need to review them every 3 years and
Yeah.
make sure that we're
right
competitive
track.
and on the right track.
Okay, I read the previous minutes from 2010, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure what I gathered from that.
Yeah. Not either.
I mean, given the fact that we haven't had any major issues with our current insurance company, our agent of record, and we have had a reduction in loss, it appears that they are performing well.
I don't think there's any question about that.
So-
And I'd just like, and I'm not sure that this could or could not be a conflict of interest, but I would just like to mention that Coast Insurance insures my business. Just want to get that out on the table, so.
Okay.
Do you have any sense of criteria that we should be using here? I mean, I would sure like to hear some other opinions on how we should be making the selections, because we just passed this buy local resolution.
Yeah, and I almost wish we'd passed that later on, because I totally concur with you. It's a very difficult. I think the insurance agency that we have currently has done a stellar job. They are saving us money. They have reduced our I lost the
Experience mod.
Thank you. Our experience mod from 1 point something down to 0.88, which is significant. Is significant. I mean, that's not just something that you.
That's $20,000 a year.
Yeah. So
Is this something that perhaps the commissioners might want to reflect on this for a
Sure.
month
You
and
don't have to
then
do
come
it
back in
tonight.
November and
When's our policy expire?
It's
January.
a bit time sensitive in that it is now time to start working on the January renewals, and it truly would not be fair to ask Wilson Airgood to put forth all that effort
Oh, I
for
see what
your
you're saying.
renewals if you decided to change
Right,
agents.
I understand, which is a good point.
There is a lot of work there.
That's a valid point.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, I think the experience mod would carry forward with the new agent if the board decided.
Remember, the experience mod is 5 years, so it goes back. So it actually goes back to when Coast was your agent, when some of those claims took into effect on that.
So
Let me correct that. It
It
is
didn't
not
average
5
years.
years.
It's 3 years, but it doesn't do the most, they were talking about the workers' comp, the experience mod.
3-year average.
But it doesn't do the most recent year. It goes back beyond that, which would go into the time period that Coast had it,
Tough.
the beginning of
Yeah, it's not gonna be an easy decision. It's,
Have any
It's just
remarks,
trying to get
Nancy?
all fair thoughts. It wasn't the full time.
Do you have any leaning towards it?
No, I've read them, and all three are
Right.
totally,
Yeah.
this, yes.
So prior to this, Coast had it for 3 years, and then Able, how did this rotate now? In
Well, Coast
chronology?
Insurance had the port for many years, many years. And there was a decision made, I'm thinking about 12 years ago, where it was transferred to Able for 3 years, then back to Coast for 3 years, then Able for 3 years. And then Wilson Airgood was awarded the appointment.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
This isn't something we can discuss in the executive session.
No, it is not.
I was afraid of that.
This is
Never-
this is
never
why you
simple.
get elected.
That's right.
A hard
That's where you make your
decision.
money.
This is where
Would
we
you
make our
like
big
for us-
money.
Would you like for us to proceed to legal? We're
No.
happy to do that.
Yeah.
I'd just like to point out, we did make a buy local resolution.
Yes.
Except you don't get away on that easy because it says whenever all aspects of a given purchase are essentially equal. I'm sorry, but what they've delivered to you is not essentially equal. They all had different strengths, different
Right.
weaknesses. So you really can't use your buy local to get you out of this one.
Well, it doesn't get us out of it.
Not at all. No.
But we are still somewhat committed to try to keep the money here locally. However, if there is a prevailing sense that a vendor is providing us with a high level of service, that takes it out of the essentially equal category. And with the reduction in the experience modification of such a great amount, but again, it goes back, how do you tease
Yeah.
that out? Who's responsible for that? So that's a mind boggler.
Always back up.
You know, my gut instinct is if it ain't broken, don't fix it. I mean, that's how I feel. Not that I'm trying to deprive the local vendors, but at the same time, my feeling as a businessman is that if it's working, why do I want to change it? So I'm trying to go in that direction, but at the same time, I know how valuable keeping the money in the community is too. So it's like 49.99 versus 50.11, and that is a really difficult decision.
But if there's an office here from all three,
There's local representation, but not local ownership, not in the
well,
district.
that's true, yeah.
So
I move we accept the current carrier and continue for another 3 years.
WHA,
Yes.
do I hear a second?
I'll second for discussion purposes only. Please make a note of that. I want to make sure that we continue this discussion, just so we can flesh it out a little more. I feel that what we have been getting is satisfactory. The performance, and I agree with you that that's a wise decision.
Are we doing this back and forth, or would you like to continue?
No, it's.
And I think that your statement satisfactory is, I don't think we're getting satisfactory. I think we're getting excellent
I do
Okay.
too.
service. I think satisfactory would still be a 1.2 2-something experience mod.
Okay.
And I think we have to use that
Kind of a weighted criteria?
as a weighted criteria, if you will. But, you know, I think we've gotten excellent service, and I, in order to get this thing off a dead center, is the reason I made the motion. And also to say that we've, you know, there is amazing expertise, and they've done a great job.
Any other discussion?
I'm thinking that I can agree with Jay, and that 3 years is a good indication there, and I have absolutely no problem with extending that time because of their track record.
I want to pose a question. Why did we go to WHA 3 years ago? Was it rotational?
No.
Well, it came up 3 years ago, and
Yes.
apparently
And it
they
was added.
proved that they were...
The previous commissioners
Yeah.
approved them.
Right.
And apparently there isn't any rule or regulation or law that we actually have to do this every 3 years.
No, there's not.
This is just
It's-
our
it's good
policy.
business practice.
Good business practice to review.
Yep.
Okay, it has been moved. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I don't know if my point was taken or not, but for some reason, did we go from Coast to WHA because of the rotation?
No.
It didn't appear, you know, we're just reading a document.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see
That's why I
that
included
indicated.
the minutes from 3 years ago out of the 2 meetings, so you would have
Yeah.
That's when
a
they
little
stopped
bit
the
of
rotation, I
background.
think. Yeah.
And it seemed to be the same kind of conversation and debate that you guys are having, as difficult of a decision as it
Yeah.
was. It would appear to me from the reading of their.
I think we strongly, before we take a vote, consider why. I think if Coast Insurance would have had it the last few years, or Able would have had it the last 3 years, we'd be sitting here. Experience mod isn't just because of an agent, it's because of the stuff we do.
Good. Well, point well
You know, it's
taken.
not,
That's a good point.
you know,
Yeah.
so I think before we,
And I don't mean to say that that was the only criteria that I used, but that's something that needs to be considered.
If we were looking at this strictly as a business decision and take away all of the other elements, would that change the way we would look at this? Because I see this as a business decision, more importantly, to make sure that the bottom line of the port is maintained. If I can maintain a positive bottom line, then I can go out and do other things that will enhance the economic development of the community. But if I'm making sacrifices up front where I'm diminishing the bottom line, that reduces my opportunity to serve the public later down the road. That is what I'm thinking.
Right.
So I'm tending to...
I don't think we'd be making sacrifices taking any three of the agents. I think all three of them are highly qualified. I think all three of them would protect our interests and do a fine job. Having said that, going back to your statement, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The agency that we have now is doing a wonderful job, and I'm good with that.
Can we vote on it?
I'll call for the question.
Thank you.
Okay.
That has to be voted on. So perhaps you might want to withdraw the call of the question and just ask Mr. Chair if he'd like to do the vote, because calling the question
Oh.
requires a majority of the vote. I'm sorry.
All right, I will withdraw the,
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we use WHA as the insurance of record for the Port of Siuslaw. All in favor?
For the next 3 years.
The next 3 years. All in favor?
Aye.
aye?
I vote no.
Okay. It has passed, and so it is WHA. So
Thank
we
you
can
all.
move on to the next.
Thank you.
We should
Thank you
extend
very
the
much.
thank yous for all the presentations.
Yes, thank you for your presentations.
Thank you.
Item 2, new business, Resolution 10-16-13B, authorizing a loan with Siuslaw Bank for the Pacific View Industrial Park property. As you know, we have a balloon payment coming up, and We have a renewal for a 5-year loan at 20-year amortization at a 3.95 fixed interest rate, which will get us down the road another 5 years. Hopefully between now and then we can sell the property and eliminate the debt.
Mr. Chair, perhaps the manager might elaborate upon the negotiations and what took place and give us a little background of
Sure.
how we got to where we are today.
For the last year, we've been out looking for total consolidation of the $1.6 million debt. We've worked with IFA. We've received bids from all of the banks in town for trying to consolidate the debt, see if we can get it lowered, see if we can get lower annual payments. Everybody's worked with us very well. We couldn't find anything that didn't actually, on a total consolidation, actually increase our annual payments because almost all of our loans are from IFA, from the state, and they carry very low interest rates, and some of them are 5 years till they're done, some are 18 years until they're done. So trying to consolidate that while everybody worked very hard to do that was very, very difficult to come up with anything that was fairly simplistic. And so then we went out and asked a couple of them if they would at least just come back and take a look at doing just this last loan that we had on the Pacific View Industrial Park properties was a no interest loan, so it carried early payment penalties and things like that, because obviously they're not really making any money off of any long term. Siuslaw Bank worked very hard. They've extended that time period out because it's past when we were actually required to pay off this loan, and came back with a package that puts us out another 5 years, but it takes us into an actual loan so that it doesn't have early payment penalties, reduces our annual payments by about $24,000. So while it does kick it out another 5 years, it gives us the time and some extra cash to work with, and it also takes us out of the early payment and gives us some breathing room to develop, sell, rent, lease, whatever we're going to do with those properties. So that's the reason that this one's in front of you today.
Thank you.
So essentially, we have a 20-year amortized loan with a 5-year balloon payment.
Yep.
And it's a fixed 3.95%, which is a good interest rate. 1.5% processing fee, $1,250. That's very reasonable. I think this is an excellent way to defer our long overdue.
He's writing a check.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I am totally supportive.
I agree. Are you making the motion? Who's making the motion?
If he doesn't, I will.
Okay.
Did you want to, Mr. Fleener?
Mr. Cable, be my guest.
I would move that we adopt resolution 10-16-13B, authorizing a loan with Siuslaw Bank for the Pacific View Industrial Park PVIP property.
I second that.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good,
done.
Mr. Forsythe. Thank you. Good job.
Okay, next, discuss Mo's lease.
Current events is, and working with legal counsel this afternoon, we have found that we can actually pull that into the executive session, which we did not know before.
Good.
Okay.
So that's being moved to the executive
Yes.
session. Thank
Okay.
you.
And it's properly noticed because
How
of
about
Yes.
Item 4, discussion of the new reservation policy. That's what I saw here somewhere.
Okay, in your packets you have colored copies of the proposal, which didn't really come out very well in the PDF attachment that I emailed you last night. So I pulled up, you also have a copy of Winchester Base.
Right.
And so I took what we heard last month from our audience comments. I took what I saw in a lot of the suggestions. I spoke with campground staff and I came up with these ideas.
To be specific, the proposed new policies in red, and that would take the place of the existing, which is in black.
Correct.
Except for those where there are no proposed new policies, and that will remain the same.
That is correct.
Okay.
I did put no change on some of them, and then I thought, no, I think you guys can figure this out.
So for instance, the first one, reservations can be made 1 year in advance of arrival and are limited to 180 consecutive days would be deleted. And the new
And
one
replaced with.
reservations can be made
Correct.
starting January 1.
And I also want to point out that this is not a resolution. This is for discussion tonight to be put into resolution form at the November meeting to be adopted and to go into effect January 1st and December 1st if you agree to what is proposed.
I have a question about some of this. When I was talking with Mr. Forsyth, there was a comment about the loss that the port gets when someone cancels a credit card thing. Is there a way that fee can be attached to this if someone?
Well, that's the whole part about the rain check policy. And
is that what that
currently,
means?
if somebody cancels or leaves early, we give a full refund. A couple weeks ago when we had the storm, half of this campground was in this office and the credit cards were being swiped. They were all driving out as fast as they could. All that money was just going right back with them.
Yeah.
This proposal creates a rain check policy where if that's not necessarily true with the early departure, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this is basically for cancellation. Somebody calls, they cancel, can't make it. And some of these deposits, they're hundreds of dollars.
Right.
So, this basically gives them the opportunity to have a rain check. It needs to be used within 1 year. It can be transferable.
But does that let the port recover the fee?
The port keeps the money.
Yeah,
We keep the deposit.
Okay.
we're not
They-
giving money back.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So they give us a deposit and we hold on to it and we just hold on to it until they call us back within 1 year to make another reservation.
Right.
Okay.
So we're still being charged the credit card fee, but we're not giving the money back. So we're not losing that.
So the first one really reflects the comments that we heard last month. It gives the long-term customers a little bit of an edge. It also opens it up, reservations, it opens it up for almost another year. I mean, we used to have a 2-year reservation policy. That got reduced to a 1-year policy, which obviously is not working. So this basically opens it up to a 2-year policy with a little bit of an extra for our long-term loyal customers.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
do we have any process by which we will be able to track whether we have a December member or not?
Yes,
Is that built
we
into-
already have a list of names.
Is that
Because
part
the
of the?
Hercules reservation system keeps all of our, since we have started it 3 years ago, but we also know, a lot of these people. And we've got documentation of who's been here for how long.
So if we do switch from Hercules to another system, we'll certainly make sure they have tracking capability?
Absolutely, we would not switch unless it could be switched over, imported. And we have too much data in that software.
How do we come up with a 5-year minimum versus a 3 or a 7?
Well, we basically, this is just a proposal. I haven't worked in the campground. Obviously, that's not my area, and I've learned a lot about it in the last couple of months. But again, we've got background. We've got you know, we know a lot of these people, and they've been coming here for years, and their names have been on the books for a long period of time, and it's pretty obvious to campground staff who these people are.
Asking, how did we determine the 5-year minimum versus a 10-year minimum?
Or a 3-year,
We just pulled it out, you know, that's negotiable. It was a place to start.
I'm curious as to whether that's standard.
Oh, I thought you were asking how could we prove that they had been here 5 years?
Well, that was first of all,
Okay.
and Hercules apparently tracks that.
Yeah.
Second is, how did we end up with a 5-year minimum? And that was just a starting point.
Yep.
I understand that. And they're gonna be called December members.
I just came up with that. If you want to call it something different, you can.
I believe Ms. Rickard had some issues with preferential treatment. Do you see any preferential treatment in this
No.
proposal?
I think this is very good.
I think it's everything they wanted.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's great.
We don't need to vote on this, do we?
No,
No, I didn't think so.
So,
All we can see is go forward.
Well, what I will do then is I will type it up in resolution form
Okay.
for the next meeting. We
And
will,
if you
and in
think
the-
of something in
yeah,
the meantime, email it
You've got
over.
this.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, if you have suggestions. I would like to, way down at the bottom, there is under
age.
add additional people,
Yes.
$2 each. We kind of don't charge for babies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there should be an age, you know, kids under 5, no
Yeah.
charge. You know, that's something that we'd kind of like to have a number there.
What's standard in the industry? Does Winchester, they have anything like
I
that?
don't think they didn't have anything in there.
There's something off the top of my head.
Is there a maximum number? Because it just strikes me that there was comments about numbers of vehicles. Is there a maximum number of vehicles, or you just charge $2 a piece for?
No, it's on here somewhere.
Is there someplace in there?
Yeah,
Isn't it,
one vehicle.
down under additional fees at the bottom.
Right, I see that.
One sleeping unit and one vehicle are allowed per site, basically. Each additional vehicle is $2. So your question is, how many additional vehicles?
Can I bring in
there
10?
be?
You know,
If
if
you
I
could
have a
shove it
party?
into that,
No,
if you
it
could shove
has
it
to
into
fit.
that site.
It has
So-
to fit. Usually it's just one.
Okay,
it
because
has
I
to
believe
fit.
there was a comment that sometimes there are a lot of vehicles
Yeah.
that seem to be appearing.
Right, and we tried to
Encroaching upon
monitor
other
that.
people's sites.
And every once in a while, if they are sticking out into the road, we have to go tell them that that's not gonna work.
Okay. So there's no maximum.
No, because if somebody comes in and they've got quads or motorcycles, they can put 6 in there the same size as a car. You know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard to.
Yes, sir.
Just a point of interest, being a ex-RV park manager,
Yeah.
our standard was always, as far as the age was concerned, was 7 and under was no charge, and there was a limit of 2 vehicles, 2 motorized vehicles per space.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think
Good suggestion.
7 is a good starting point.
Make them stand under a little thing.
Didn't have to be so tall.
That's for the rides.
$2 each per day, is that what that is?
Yes.
So we probably should put that
Put
down.
it on a daily basis.
Yeah, versus per stay.
Okay.
So staff will come back with a resolution that we can vote on next month.
Just along that same line, I remember, I believe somebody mentioning from the audience the number of dogs. And so I can bring 6 dogs, I just pay $2 each more for them, is that the idea, or is there a limit on how many
We
dogs? I
really
can bring?
haven't had a problem with too many dogs.
Okay. I thought there was somebody
Although
from the
there was
audience
one
that
comment in the
thing.
suggestions that
Right.
somebody
Yeah.
said.
Maybe that's where I
But
saw
that's,
it.
Yeah,
I
too many
think,
dogs.
I remember that person.
In
I think that was
August.
because there was so many sites with dogs. Everybody was walking their dogs. It
Everybody has a
wasn't like
dog.
one
Yeah.
site had a lot of dogs. We have not had that problem.
Okay.
Again, we had a weight minimum, or weight maximum, I should say, of 60 pounds for dogs
You're weighing
But it
people's
was pretty
dogs.
much ignored. I mean, people,
If you had 5 chihuahuas at 10
yeah, you
pounds
start
each.
adding up the number of dogs and
5
weighing
chihuahuas
them
equals
all.
one Great Dane.
A
Yeah,
dog over 60 pounds, I ain't weighing it.
Okay, that's enough joking around.
Thank you.
Too much left.
Tired of all this weight conversation.
Yeah,
Really?
okay.
So are we okay to,
Yeah.
Yes, let's proceed.
Yes, definitely.
move forward with that.
Next on our agenda are other items by the commission once again.
Just jump in wherever we want. I read in the paper how successful the Septoberfest was, and I remember hearing that the port underwrote that, so I guess I would like some sort of a financial report on our involvement in Septoberfest.
Yeah, when we get all the numbers in, we still got stuff coming in from all sorts of people. From-
Okay, I don't think we've ever had a financial report on the boat show.
Yes, we did. Sure,
Yes.
we made $535.
I
Ken
saw
reported on it.
something. Seems like I saw something
Yeah.
on it.
Okay, I didn't see
I
it.
was surprised.
So,
So anyway, we'll put something together and
okay,
put all that in.
so on the boat show, we made $500?
536.
Is that
32.
deducting the approximately $100 an hour that you and Ken cost to put it together?
No, we don't. No, because both of us are salary.
Okay, so we actually lost money on the boat show.
If you want to start adding labor to everything and to all aspects of the port, yeah, I mean, none of the financials you see in here.
Well, I'm just,
Yeah,
Well, it has to do with full cost recovery
Yeah,
concept,
I mean,
and we're kind of working on that.
Yeah.
Because wherever we go, we always end up, labor seems to be a missing factor.
sure.
I
Well, we
understand.
can't, hey.
If all we made on the boat show was $500, my point is that we put a lot of staff time into it, a lot of labor time into it. It's not really a port function, so my feeling is we lost a significant amount of money on the boat show.
Mr. Chair?
And I think probably the Septoberfest is going to be even more substantial in losses.
My feeling is that if we can cover our costs and perhaps not make money on these special events, this is adding to our economic development mission where we're getting people into town, they're spending money, the multiplier effect. So my feeling is if we can come pretty close to breaking even on these initial
Exactly, and my point is we didn't
Mhm.
on either one of these, and especially Septoberfest. We didn't.
Well, I guess my question is how close do we need to get to breaking even, or how much profit do we need to show to justify putting these programs on, particularly the first event or two, because it does take time to get these events up to a critical mass. I mean, should we try, or basically just say it's not worth it? I mean, I'm not challenging you, I'm just
Right, no, I
putting some
understand.
questions out
I
there.
understand. I don't understand why the port would underwrite.
First of all, we host it.
You used the word underwrite, and
I did it, one of the meetings, probably just, we had money from all sorts of different companies and Bay Street and stuff, so probably a misstatement of mine.
Okay.
We hosted it, brought them in, a lot of the different vendors put money into it, advertising, there's all sorts of stuff, and that's why we're still gathering up the dollars from. So, but yes.
I was concerned with the underwrite
Oh, I see what you're
feature.
saying. Yeah, but still, it's still a valid comment, because just like with the boat show, we put time and effort into it. And so
Right.
it should be a concern about, where do we balance these things about holding an event, especially the first one or two, and, what do we play in that? What role do we play in that? So no, it's a,
Right.
I agree with you. It's a certain valid question in, boat show, and yeah, boat show is exactly what we should be doing.
It's part of our public service
Service.
and showing people what our port is all about is to have functions here.
And working with the Chamber of Commerce and
Yeah.
all of these
The
people.
Old Town merchants and.
So, but to your point,
Good point is,
absolutely,
yes,
no, I
we don't
totally
want
agree.
to, we don't want to lose a lot of money, but
At the same time, we need to, work these things up. I'm already getting calls already about, when the next boat show is from the vendors that were here to, to put that on.
Mhm.
So, but yes, good point. No,
And
totally agree.
each of these things in their individuality appeals to different people,
Right.
making it wider
Wider use of the
type of
port.
people coming.
Yes.
Because we do actually represent the entire area, not just here.
Right.
And in spite of some of the earlier testimony by a certain citizen, we're not exclusively here to represent the commercial fishing industry. They are a very important industry, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of other industries and a lot of other activities that we can be involved in.
Oh, no question about that. I don't question that at all. I'm concerned fiscally,
Absolutely.
and that's my concern.
I think this is kind of contradictory though, because I remember hearing that an empty slip is more beneficial than, and then I'm hearing that, we're gonna start this.
Well, I don't
With
think,
Oktoberfest.
I wouldn't say beneficial here. That was a complicated discussion that we had, that had a lot of theoretical aspects, had a lot of manufacturing analogies. We can split this baby as many ways as we want to, 7 days to Sunday, as they say. How you want to spread fixed expenses over different product lines or services. And that's something that this commission may want to explore on the philosophy of how we take these fixed expenses and spread them over. Because some service or some product has to cover it. And that's all it was. It's just a discussion. So philosophically, we can go many ways on this.
Anything else, Jay?
So we will get a report on the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Nancy, you have anything?
No, just a question on this other sheet that has all the question box comments. There are a lot of them on here where people are not happy with the restrooms.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the port's happy with the restroom.
No.
I mean, I don't think there's, the restroom was a debacle.
Well, and
That may be a
how,
strong word, but it truly was.
how can we provide something that someone isn't going to go in there and make an absolute mess of it?
You can't
This
stop
happens-
people from doing it.
This happens in every public restroom, and I, for one, would not like to see these closed to payees only.
We can't anyway, to a certain extent. I haven't got because the Marine Board put money into that.
True.
So we can't keep it closed to employees, or
To
payees only.
yeah.
Right.
So all four stalls are open at this point in time?
Yes, as we look for different locking mechanisms to be able to provide to the public and provide to just the RV park.
Different, what do you mean, different locking mechanisms?
Well, if two of them are going to be for the RV park.
Right, and I understand the two far ones are and the two close ones
Well,
aren't,
they're
or
all
whatever.
now on just privacy locks because they've been broken and damaged so many times
Okay.
that we've lost thousands of dollars on these locks and things. Now they're all on privacy locks.
Okay.
And we're looking into proximity locks and things like that that we can put on one side that would allow the RV people to have their own usage and privacy locks.
So now all
for them.
four are open?
Yeah.
Except for privacy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe part of our
Okay.
capital expansion is to add additional restrooms.
We discussed that.
No,
Yeah,
one.
we want to pull out back and hopefully with some of this property usages that we have coming up, possibly we can get some money to do that soon rather than.
I'm sorry, I did interrupt you.
No, that's.
Along the same line, I've noticed that the Santa cans are gone.
We always reduce those the closer we get to end of fishing season and things, and as the park residency goes down as well.
Because fishing season is still alive and well.
I understand, but we look at them.
We only took out 2 out of 4. There's still the 2 out here.
Right here.
Right by the restaurant.
Oh, are there? Okay.
Only the 2 out.
Oh,
there.
2 out there,
Yeah.
those are the ones that I
Right.
can see.
Yeah,
I
right.
Yeah.
saw them.
Yeah, we try to reduce them at a little at a time
Sure.
as we go. I mean, we still have a
Understand.
couple in the back that are
Good.
still up and running.
Yeah, we can move those 2 over in front of that store over there.
To block it.
So you can see it.
Close to the boardwalk there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Thanks, Terry.
Bill, you have anything?
I'm being particularly good tonight.
Good.
Were we gonna hear a report? I heard mention of a report on the commercial cost of a commercial store,
That's for
Board.
next month.
oh, wasn't on this month's agenda?
No,
No.
that was brought up by the public, and we need to have some time.
Okay.
The STEP group, which I happen to be president of, is still working on fish cleaning station. And we will probably, we've just got the drawings from the fish cleaning stations in Newport. So we have that to go to work on. We're planning on putting a new set of fish stations out there and doubling the size of this. And it will become, since it's sitting on the bulkhead, it will become part of the bulkhead bid, but I think we can get some funding through either the ODF and WR&E board or from the Marine board to help pay for them, and hopefully they'll be up and running by next summer. That's the plan.
Boy, I have high expectations for these. I
Well,
mean, we've been waiting. I said, we've been waiting.
yeah, I know, it's going to happen.
As have a lot of people.
Yes, that'd make a lot of people happy. Oh, anything else? Okay, at this time, I'm going to close the regular meeting, and
Would you like to read what's on?
I've got it right here.
Perfect.
And we are going to meet in executive session. Representatives of the news media and designated individuals be allowed to attend the session. All other audience members must leave the room.
To continue pursuing the negotiations with the Mo's lease as per the terms and conditions that have already been initiated.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. It's your turn, Jay.
I would like to instruct the port manager to discontinue negotiations on the Wilbur property.
Will do.
I think we need to have a vote on that.
Yes.
So that would be a motion, so.
I make that in the form of a motion.
Okay. Terry's going to second it.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I think we can adjourn the meeting for the last time.
Was it last time?
Yeah.
Well, for
Tonight.
Tonight.